The king's not punishing you two, but I can't let this go unanswered. From today on, everyone in Floretta Court is on house arrest. Without my permission, no one is allowed to leave.
Does Your Majesty think that I'm being unreasonable?
If the Heavenly King decides, you should be punished. I can't save you. Now stay here and be good.
I hope you'll allow me to marry Prince Shinova.
You still want to marry him?
Hamna amani tena, kwani kwa Laba na Hana kuna panda shuka si haba.
Mtoto wangu hataona psychiatrist yoyote.
Shut up!
Kelsey naye ni pilipili kali wa pili.
Sitaki kumwona Kesi nyumbani kwangu. Period.
Jackie huyo anajaribu vyake kwa kati.
Nilikwambia nitakuharibu uso wako. Ndio unajua kwamba uhalifu ukufai.
Safari na Kahindi wanazo ngoma si haba.
Nyinyi kuna nini?
Huyu Kahindi alisema tatila somo kwenye chakula.
Yote hayani katika tamthilia ya Maza. Fululiza Jumanne hadi Alhamisi saa 1:30.
We are here to destroy. The mighty will fall.
Driver! The members of Contra Unit! How have these guys not even been suspended after what they did? Oh my God! Oh my God! Get some help out here! No! There's global gamers involved. Another victim, this time the world champion. Where and how will this be stopped?
Your world is gonna crumble when you reach the top of the mountain.
It is indeed the 18th day of August 2022. Good afternoon. This is KBC and this is KBC Lunchtime News. On this day, it's back to school and hopefully back to life to normalcy after the election fanfare. Indeed, this is the most comprehensive news report. Time for a comprehensive look at the day's news. My name is Njue and Anwangeshi will be our sign language interpreter for this live newscast. You can be part of this conversation via all our social media spaces as we are live. Now straight to the news. We begin in Narok County, where a section of education stakeholders in Narok County have called on the President-elect, Dr. William Ruto, to put more resources in advancing the competency-based curriculum CBC so as to grow the talents of young learners. Narok Blessed School's head teacher, Gidrap Ikenye, said that under CBC, learning is more practical and enjoyable, unlike the previous system where there was a lot of paperwork.
My appeal to the President-elect and all the incoming government leaders to put into consideration the much investment that has been put in place to bring up this system. And my prayer is that we look into other areas that this system can be better. I believe with the benchmarking that has been done, up to this time, the government has all it takes to take this country to the next level in terms of education and in terms of all other aspects.
Elsewhere, Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization has hailed women for seeking elective posts and emerging victorious in the general election. The organization's chair, Rehab Njue, says the shift from 3 governors to 8, in addition to other positions secured by women politicians, is a significant step towards increasing women participation in the bicameral parliament. Rehab, at the same time, lauded security organs for the adequate protection provided to candidates and electorate during the electioneering period.
Of Mandera East welcomed the donation of camels from the incoming county government.
Wakati hii ambao ni wakati wa njaa, baa la njaa ambao inaendelea sana. Hiyo itasaidia wananchi sana, itawasaidia wananchi yote na watoto na wakina mama yote, na itakuwa tumegawanya kwa kila kijiji.
Many families, while decrying the prolonged drought, noted the camels will help ensure a constant supply of milk.
Kwa sababu tumepitia kwa ukame wa muda mrefu, itasaidia hali ya ukame na itasaidia wale hawajiwezi pia wakule siku hiyo wafurahie.
Drought still ravages the Mandera County, with parts of Mandera West, Mandera South and parts of Banisa most affected. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Elvis Otieno.
Very well, after that report, we now cross over to Mombasa. A day after IEBC announced that the elections in Mombasa and Kakamega for the gubernatorial race will not be conducted yet, a petition has been filed in court, and now I'm joined by my colleague Njue Karisa, who is just outside the Mombasa law courts, to give us an update of the same. Njue, if you can hear me?
Right, Ben Njue, good afternoon. We're coming to you from the Mombasa law courts, where in a matter of 30 minutes, the ODM gubernatorial candidate, accompanied by a host of political class here in Mombasa County, have just left the premises. They were also accompanied by their supporters to come and protest about the decision, that the directive that was issued by IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati to postpone the Mombasa gubernatorial elections indefinitely. Now, both the ODM gubernatorial candidate Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir, as well as the UDA gubernatorial candidate Hassan Sarai, have both lamented or protested the directive that was issued. Remember, Wafula Chebukati mentioned that due to insecurity reasons and some of the staff feeling that they have been harassed, or the harassment at the National Tallying Center has instilled fear among some of the IEBC staff. So the commission took it into their perspective to have some of these elections that had been slated for the 23rd of August to be postponed indefinitely. Now, this move has not been welcomed here by most residents, as well as the candidates that are eyeing some of those seats. Since morning at 9 a.m. we have been here at the Mombasa law courts. Protests mad this place, and most of them, they were lamenting on the issue that there are no grounds that the IEBC chairperson has laid down that can warrant the postponement of this election. So what happened was the ODM gubernatorial candidate walked inside the court and accompanied by his lawyers to file a petition so that they can block the move by Chebukati. And of course, we were here to witness that. They walked in and they filed. Of course, the registry received their petition. So right about now, they are waiting further direction on how the court is going to treat their petition. Whether they will certify it as a matter of urgency, we are yet to know, and how the court, of course, will proceed on that matter. We are keeping a close eye to see how that matter will be treated. But as of now, what we understand is the candidates of the gubernatorial race, led by the UDA Hassan Omar and Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir, they are protesting the move by IEBC Chebukati. They are saying that they are ready even today for the election. They have been ready. One other reason that Hassan Omar laid down is the more they are postponing, he feels that it's going to be a costly affair, and and most people are growing impatient and wanting that these elections be done and dusted. For Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, he says that it is unconstitutional, and they laid down reasons that IBC chairperson gave does not meet the threshold to warrant a postponement. In fact, he says that they haven't received any lamentations from the IBC officials here in Mombasa that they are being threatened, and that they feel that the commission here in Mombasa is ready to conduct that election. However, that decision is laid squarely by the IEBC chairperson to know if his staff is ready to conduct that election, and by yesterday he said that his staff is not ready to conduct that election. So we're waiting for the direction by the court on how they will treat this petition. Unlike Hassan Omar, Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir has come to court to seek more legal advice, hoping that Wafula Chebukati will stand for the 23rd of August so that those elections can be conducted here in Mombasa County. This, of course, has been received by a lot of reactions from the residents of Mombasa. Some of them are saying that it is putting an anxious mood as the more that Chebukati is postponing these elections. So we were with them since morning. We have walked into the court with Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir. My colleague was on the other end to understand the sentiments of Hassan Omar. And one thing is clear, both the candidates and both the political mood here is they are rejecting, of course, the announcement by Wafula Chebukati that was pronounced yesterday. So we leave it unto the courts and, of course, the IBC Commission to see if they can review the dates or stand by its ground. But as for us, we keep a close eye and bring you more updates as they come on the Mombasa gubernatorial race that had been slated by yesterday. It had been slated for 23rd, but right now it has been postponed indefinitely. So Njue, as we are on the field, just to keep a close eye on how the day is unfolding and how the gubernatorial race will unfold throughout the week. Back to you, Njue.
Question, Njue. Since the matter has already been filed in court, have you been able to see some of maybe the prayers that the petitioner is seeking?
It was a little bit crowded inside. All we saw is the procedure from the lawyers' clerks coming in with the papers to come and submit at the registry, and the registry received the papers and marked them received. From then in, this is a normal court procedures. From then on, the court will determine how this matter will be treated. So we haven't gotten a copy of what are some of the grievances they have laid out in their petition. We will do that after that so that we know which grounds they are basing them. But we had Abdul Somad just telling us on by word of mouth what they had outlined in that petition, and they are saying that it is unconstitutional. Number two, they are saying the insecurity claims, they have not been witnessed in Mombasa, so it does not warrant Wafula Chebukati to stand on those grounds to postpone those elections. So those are some of the reasons he gave, but we are fishing out the petition to understand what exactly is being laid down. But right now we had just had the word of Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, who has filed the petition.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Njue, for that report. And of course, we're keeping our keen eyes and also our lenses on that report, because it's going to be quite a busy judiciary, if you ask me, because we're also expecting the Azimio to be moving to the Apex Court to challenge the presidential election that we conducted a week ago. And judiciary says it is ready. And of course, there are other petitions to be filed by candidates who feel aggrieved. Thank you so much, Njue, for that report. And from Njue, we now cross over to Busia County, where a section of leaders from the county allied to Kenya Kwanza gubernatorial candidate Sakwa Bunyasi have vowed to file a petition challenging the victory of Orange Democratic Movement candidate Paul Otuoma. Otuoma, who contested the race in 2017 but lost to outgoing Governor Sospeter Ojamong, garnered 164,478 votes to be or to emerge the winner, with the closest opponent, John Bunyasi of Amani National Congress, getting 92,144 votes.
Led by Sakwa Bunyasi's running mate Lawrence Okale and Jacob Olo, the Kenya Kwanza supporters allege that the recently held general election was marred by irregularities. A recount to determine the gubernatorial winner should be done.
Wale ambao wote ambao wamekuwa wakisimama nasi ya kwamba tuendelee kuwa watulivu na tuendelee kuomba ili tupate haki.
Tunaomba kwamba tuangalie hiyo zile kura mambo ya Busia County haikufanyika vizuri. Kama serikali muiangalie, muitafakari kabisa kwa sababu sisi tulitaka kuandamana lakini tuliheshimu sheria.
Paul Otuoma was declared governor-elect last week after garnering 164,474 votes, while Bunyasi, who is the immediate former Nambale Member Parliament, 92,144 votes. At the same time, the leaders urged President-elect William Ruto to address challenges facing Kenyans and deliver on his promises to the region as well as the country.
Ile tunamuomba sisi kama vijana ni kwamba vile alianza mambo ya bottom up. Tunaomba sisi kama vijana na bodaboda wa Busia aweze kusimama na sisi, aweze kusimama na mama mboga kwa kila hali.
Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
Let's now head to Meru, where a section of residents in Meru County have expressed optimism and confidence in the Meru governor-elect with hopes that their living standards will improve. They stated that while serving as a county women representative, Kawira Mwangaza had worked hard in improving different sectors, including giving women in the county a voice in development matters. The residents are now urging the governor-elect to prioritize agriculture, health and youth employment in her administration in order to improve lives of the people of Meru. The residents further urged that leaders to shun divisive politics and embrace working together as a county. Kawira garnered 209,148 votes to join the list of 7 elected women governors in the just concluded general elections.
Tulichagua mama kwa sababu tuliona maendeleo yake akiwa women representative. Alisaidia watu wengi. Tumeona alikuwa anasaidia maskini, alikuwa anapea watu ng'ombe na vitu mingi amefanyia, amesupport kina mama na pesa zile zilikuwa zinaitwa SAGAF. Ndio sababu tuliona maendeleo, tukimchagua ende kwa hiyo step nyingine, atasaidia wengi na wengine na atafanya Meru kuwa mbali zaidi kulingana na ile kipawa ako nacho.
Hata tukichagua mama pale hospitalini atawashughulikia madaktari, sisi kama wana youth atatushughulikia. Hapa sisi wana bodaboda tulisema ni vizuri tuchague mama ndio aweze kutusaidia.
Kuona mama ndiye anatosha, manake mama ni mtu ambaye anashughulikia kila mtu. Anasikiza maoni ya kila mtu.
And away from politics, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has called on parents and teachers to guide grade 6 learners who are yet to join junior secondary on selection of preferred schools. Magoha further said that parents who do not want their children to attend school away from them can choose schools that are close to them. The CS, who was in Kiambu County to commission construction of classrooms for the junior secondary, said the portal for public school selection is now open for both public and private learners to select their preferred schools. Magoha further noted that 80% of junior secondary classrooms are ready, adding that the remaining 20% will be done before the learners finish their grade 6 studies. He noted that most of schools in Western Coast and Nairobi regions are yet to meet the target of constructed CBC classrooms.
Don't rush to take your child to Alliance High School, because even if you take the child there in junior high school, there is no guarantee that the child will remain there. Because when we get to year 9 now, we'll go again to the public, and now it will be the cutthroats. Do you understand? So that is when you now target where you want your child to go to the senior school. The majority of parents who want to be closer to their children should allow their children to remain as close to their home as possible for these next 3 years. And if it is in the private schools, you may find that most of them have actually converted the primary schools to junior high school, so the pressure will not be there.
And now let me take you back to our earlier story where we had a mix-up of clips which we do humbly apologize for. Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization has hailed women for seeking elective posts and emerging victorious in the general election. The organization's chair, Rahab Njue, says the shift from 3 governors to 8 in addition to other positions secured by women politicians is a significant step towards increasing women participation in the bicameral parliament. Rahab, on the other hand, lauded security organs for the adequate protection provided to candidates and electorate during the electioneering period.
We are glad that the campaigns we did in 2017, we were able to get quite many MCAs, 3 governors. But after these elections, we've done pretty well. We have been able to get 7 governors from 3, single constituencies 26 from 23. Again, the 47 women representatives. We are not forgetting the MCAs. It is indeed a significant step towards the Kenyan women participation in the 2 houses. Maiwo has come around. During the 70 years, there are times we have to make bold decisions. And this particular time, we want to say we have always supported the government, and we will continue to do so. You are very clear, according to you, that my choice did not succeed. I have said, when the country settles down, we shall come back here and talk. I represent very many women. I have listened to them thinking that we've been a bit quiet, and I have come here to say the few things I have said. So when the country settles down, we shall talk.
In other news, the Mandera County government-elect has donated 28 camels to residents of Mandera East to show gratitude for electing them in the recently held August 9 general election. The newly elected county government-elect is expected to take oath of office next week on Thursday.
Residents of Mandera East welcome the donation of camels from the incoming county government.
Wakati hii ambao ni wakati wa njaa, baa la njaa ambao inaendelea sana. Hiyo itasaidia wananchi sana, itawasaidia wananchi yote na watoto na kina mama yote, na itakuwa tumegawanya kwa kila kijiji.
Many families, while decrying the prolonged drought, noted the camels will help ensure a constant supply of milk.
Kwa sababu tumepitia kwa ukame wa muda mrefu, itasaidia hali ya ukame na itasaidia wale hawajiwezi pia wakule siku hiyo wafurahie.
Drought still ravages the Mandera County, with parts of Mandera West, Mandera South and parts of Banissa most affected. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Elvis Otieno.
Boda operators in Embu County have benefited from drug and substance abuse sensitization program aimed at educating the operators on dangers of the vice. The Sober Border for a Safe Ride initiative is the brainchild of master students at Embu University and involved stakeholders from National Police Service, National Authority for the Campaign Against Drug Abuse NACADA, Public Health, Border operators and Office of the County Commissioner.
Are abusing the drugs, and the most abused drug tumeona ni mogoka, because mogoka is planted wanaipanda huku Embu and Meru, so it is easily accessible. And the use of these drugs it causes accidents and various vices. So we are trying to see how we can fight against the drug so that we have a better work in boda industry and sector. And
ningeomba tu wenzangu ambao wanafanya hii kazi ya bodaboda, wakati tunafanya kazi tufanye kwa uangalifu na tufanye tukiwa somba.
Utafiti uliofanywa mwaka wa 2017, Northeastern Province was leading in 12.5%. Coast was number 2 ikiwa na 10.1, na Eastern ambapo Embu iko Eastern ni 8.5. So the program is running for about 6 months because after kufanya the advocacy we need to do evaluation tuone kama inafanya kazi.
Moving on, supporters of the winners in the just concluded general election in Isiolo County have been cautioned to be sensitive even as they celebrate. During a meeting to evaluate performance of the Joint Operations Command Center established to receive crucial information and coordinate response relating to safety and security during the electioneering period, various stakeholders argued that celebrations should be limited so that those who did not emerge victorious are not provoked unnecessarily, a situation that could spark conflict.
Na amani na utulivu, isipokuwa mambo yalitokea hapa na pale, na kwa hivyo unaposherehekea tafadhali iwe sherehe ya amani, isiwe sherehe ya kuudhi wengine, isiwe ni sherehe ya kusumbua wengine, isiwe sherehe ya kuleta kero kwa wengine. Hiyo itakuwa dhambi. Tufanye mambo kulingana na taratibu za sheria ambazo tumepewa.
Tarajia ya kwamba ni kituo ambacho kuendelea mbele, kitaendelea kufanya kazi, manake tunataka kujenga ile utaratibu wa wananchi kuweza kutoa habari kwa maafisa wetu wa usalama. Tungetaka kuimarisha huo uhusiano.
Tunatarajia kwamba kituo kitaweza kuendelea. Tunajua kwamba tunakuwa na mizozo ya hapa na pale, na kwa sababu sasa hii namba yetu ya toll free imeweza imeweza kujulikana katika pembe zote za Isiolo, itatusaidia sana ili kuhakikisha ya kwamba mizozo ya aina nyingine pia ikiweza kutokea itaweza kushughulikiwa.
Very well, it's time for me and my sign language interpreter Anwangeshi to take a quick commercial break. But before we do that, allow me to appreciate Benedict Bazu, also Emily Chebet following from Kangemi, Jackson Mureidi, loud and clear from Garissa, Madogo Massive. Aidan James, you say you're watching. Ryan Kitui, you say you're locked. Peter Ngeno from Nakuru. I can see Reds 45 from Migori. Robi Nyamu, you say Kisi tuko ndani. Thank you so much for keeping me company. When we come back, I'll take you through a couple of more stories before we have a look at the day's sports. Keep it KBC.
She escaped! Julieta Olmedo has escaped!
Sound the alarm. They're already married and they're celebrating their love even as we speak.
They won't be together for another minute, I swear it. I'll make sure that they'll be separated forever.
I also want to apologize to all those who I have hurt directly or indirectly in any way because of my arrogance, my selfishness, and my infinite folly.
Karen, no! I swear you cannot have my brother!
Get up, put the gun
Don't
down!
come any closer!
Hey, what's up, people? My name is DJ Tabs, the head girl, your #1 female gospel DJ. You can catch me every Saturday from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. as I bring you the best of the best in gospel music. The show is The Backyard Live. Unapenda local, nitakuchezea. Unapenda African, nitakuchezea. Unapenda reggae, buo, mimi ndio plug wako. Catch me, remember, with Jay Fontana every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tutakuwa na even your favorite gospel artist. Kumbuka kuokoka, sio kuboeka. #The Backyard Live.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Welcome back and thanks for keeping it KBC Channel 1. Now, in a country whose elections are marred by allegations of irregularities, the 1988 general election will always be remembered for the blatant disregard for the principle of a free and fair election. On History in Perspective, we take a look at the incident that is most credited with impacting Kenya's push for return of multipartyism 6 years after Kenya formally became a one-party state, the Mlolongo voting system of 1988. Take a look.
Good morning.
Taking a trip back to the early 80s, a time when the then President Daniel Arap Moi was consolidating power, having taken over the country's leadership after the demise of founding President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta in 1978. Ali expected to instill a democracy-oriented political space in Kenya once he took office. Moi would take a different direction and personalize power during his reign.
My ambition is to see Kenyans live and move forward happily.
More so, the ruling party KANU arguably considered itself superior to parliament, using its disciplinary powers to bar its critics from participating in elective politics.
Elections that we witnessed when Kenya attained independence in 1963, they are all very well carried out democratically, and they came up with the popular winners that particular time. And that came along all the way through up to 1988.
Based on this premise, coupled with a number of significant factors during the 1980s, President Moi, through Parliament, would in the 1988 general election introduce the Mlolongo voting system, where voters literally lined up behind photographs of their preferred candidates.
Earlier on, I think Moi was terribly disappointed with the 1982 attempted military coup. He thought there are some people who he really trusted, and they had let him down by being involved in the attempted military coup. That was 1982. But the next election of 1983 went on very, very, very well. There were no problems whatsoever. But come 1988, there came up the famous, infamous Mlolongo system, where it was decided it was going to be carried by a queuing system.
He's a Democrat, and so he wants people to be thrown out democratically, which he would have organized. So he had organized that. These people, some people will go. And people like Robia were complaining, asking Josephat Karanja, who made you the prefect of Nairobi? That sort of thing. So the image thing, when you are supreme and you want to do things or get things done your way, you come up with a device. So the people who came up with the Mlolongo device thought they were doing something very good and very intelligent. Had they asked, they would have been told you are messing up, because it will boomerang on you. And it boomeranged very badly.
During the primaries ahead of the 88 elections, candidates who obtained at least 30% of the total number of votes recorded in each constituency won the ticket to vie on a KANU ticket. Furthermore, Candidates who got more than 70% of the votes during the nominations were automatically declared the sole candidate, loosely translating to the said candidate winning the general election.
What you have is Moi consolidating his base by eliminating anyone who may have had problems not thinking. Because you see, people to stop thinking the presidential prerogative. The vice president. Yeah, in Odaya. He was supposed to lose in Odaya. And so when you saw the returning officer, who used to be the DC, that he was going to announce, he grabbed the microphone and said, rigging requires what? Intelligence. Yes, that's how it came up. He just grabbed. Otherwise, had it been announced that he had lost, that would have been, whatever it was. So he was quick enough to grab the microphone and just make the law. So of course they had to cool down.
The outcome, as expected, would see KANU win all 188 seats in parliament, with Moi being the sole candidate in the presidential election, winning a second term in power.
I remember my late friend, Honorable Jenga Karume, a man I highly respect, a man I carry with a lot of dignity because he was a great man. It was said and declared that his own farmhand in a coffee estate he owned had defeated him in the Morongo system. Jenga Karume was defeated by his own farmhand in his coffee estate. When the man was found, he said, no. I never participated in the elections. In any case, Mheshimiwa Jenga Karume is my boss, is my employer. How can I even be bold enough to oppose him?
However, with massive irregularities being witnessed, critics in form of dissenting voices in the political arena, as well as the clergy and the citizenry alike, would condemn the election as a sham, triggering the clamour for the return of multi-party politics, spearheaded by, among others, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and Kenneth Matiba.
In 1990, the late Matiba and Charles Rubia said, enough is enough. We must have a multi-party system. And then they called for a meeting at the Kamukoji. 7th called it Sabasaba. My God. People became wired with that meeting. And then the rest is history. Matiba was detained. Rubia was detained. But then the whole country now would have done anything to ensure that there was a multipartyism. Whether it is death or whatever, they were ready.
Kibaki would later resign from the government in 1991 to join the opposition.
And although some people might have been convinced or persuaded that it probably is a good idea, because you can see, when it was implemented, the opposite happened. That in itself broke Moi's rule.
The agenda bore fruit in December 1991 with the repeal of Section 2A of the Constitution, paving way for the multi-party elections held in 1992.
We have definitely come a long way, and we should cherish our democracy and jealously guard our constitution. In other news, the National Council of Non-Governmental Organizations has lauded Kenyans for maintaining peace during the elections. The council's chair, Steve Icheboy, said as a council, they did their part in peace campaigns before the August 9 polls and will continue engaging political leaders to continue preaching peace as the country moves forward.
We appreciate that there was a lot of unity that was witnessed across the country. Tunataka amani. Tunataka umoja. Tunataka nini? Umoja. Wa viongozi wetu.
What we are supposed to be focusing is about how we are going to live one another as a family. United, we stand. Divided, we fall.
Even in this situation where we are now, it is also still the test of our independent institutions, and so they should be given the opportunity to maximize and get to the depth of any complaint.
Tunataka kuachia mahakama kuu nafasi waweze kutoa uamuzi wao wakati hiyo kesi itawekwa, in case ikiwekwa.
Across borders, at least 26 people have been killed and dozens more injured in forest fires that have devastated northern Algeria. Elsewhere, Mali says France has violated its airspace and delivered arms to Islamist militants in an attempt to destabilize the West African country. Details in our international news roundup.
Algeria's Interior Minister Kamel Beljoud said 24 people died in El Taf, near the border with Tunisia, and 2 others in Sétif. Firefighters, supported by helicopters, were still trying to contain several blazes on Wednesday evening. Reports say some 350 residents have been evacuated in various provinces. The Civil Protection Agency say that El Taf was the worst hit area with 16 fires in progress. Elsewhere, Mali says France has violated its airspace and delivered arms to Islamist militants in an attempt to destabilize the West African country. The latest in a barrage of accusations between the two countries have marked what could be perceived as the end to their once close relations. Mali's Foreign Affairs Minister, Abdoulaye Diop, has accused the French military command of breaching Malian airspace to collect information and drop arms and ammunition to Islamist militants in a letter to the United Nations. Elsewhere, 21 people have been killed and 33 others injured in a huge explosion that ripped through a crowded mosque in the Afghan capital Kabul. Authorities say the blast occurred during the evening prayers. The mosque's imam is reported to be among the dead. It is unclear who was behind the attack, a week after a prominent so-called Islamic State, IS, militants killed a pro-Taliban cleric in a suicide bomb blast also in Kabul. IS has emerged as the most potent enemy of the Taliban, who seized control over Afghanistan last year. And 4 people have died and 20 were wounded in a pre-dawn shelling of a residential area in the eastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, the regional governor said. In the southern Slobodisky district, one of the missiles hit a 4-story dormitory. The building is partially destroyed. Separately, Russian missile attacks on the town of Krasnograd, around 100 kilometers southwest of Kharkiv, destroyed several residential buildings in strikes that left 2 civilians dead and 2 others injured, including a 12-year-old.
Time to make sense of shillings and cents in business. And we begin with some good news for the coffee farmers, where coffee prices increased by 4% in the latest auction at the Nairobi Coffee Exchange, with the 50 kg bag retailing at an average of 32,249 shillings. The top grade coffee was auctioned at 798 shillings and 49 cents per kilo.
Coffee farmers will earn more from their produce according to the latest data from the Nairobi Coffee Exchange. On average, a 50 kilo bag of high quality AA fetched 40,103 shillings, with 1,401 bags offered at the auction, earning farmers 65 million shillings. Grade AB was the most traded, with 6,834 bags of coffee offered worth 294 million shillings. Grade C was the second most traded at the auction, with 5,8 and 8 50-kilo bags on offer, generating 191 million shillings at the auction. The ML grade was the least traded variety at the auction, with only 30 bags on sale, with the highest quality of the variety fetching 19,754 shillings, earning farmers 515,084 shillings. The Nairobi Coffee Exchange says the sustained high prices are due to high demand from processors who traded even during the election period. The Nairobi Coffee Exchange notes that the quality of coffee beans from the second harvest is also high and the good prices could be sustained. In total, the latest figures indicate that as at 16th of this month, a total of 15,823 bags were traded on the floor of the Nairobi Coffee Exchange, selling at an average of 32,350 shillings, earning farmers 630 million shillings. Early this month, coffee prices had reduced to 31 shillings and 59 shillings per 50 kg kilo bag, with 18,467 bags traded, generating 709 million shillings. Benson Ruba reporting for Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, Stanbic Holdings made 4.8 billion shillings during the first 6 months of this year, representing a 37% year-on-year increase. The lender attributes the profit increase to its digital transformation strategy that saw 90% of new accounts being opened digitally.
Stanbic Holdings, that has operations in Kenya and South Sudan, has attributed the increase in profit partnership agreements and stakeholder engagement. Stanbic Holdings says their focus on socio-economic development helped boost interactions with micro and small enterprises across the country, aiding such businesses acquire financial inclusion through training programs. The lender lauds the performance, noting that the business environment was harsh due to the local political strain and international risks posed by the Russia-Ukraine war, rising inflation, currency pressures, and global resurgence of the COVID-19 variants. Despite this, the number of active customers increased 39% during the first 6 months of this year. Stanbic Bank CEO Charles Modiwa says the lender's strategy relied on ease of convenience, which improved client experience while driving scale. The group's customer loans rose 31% to 217 billion shillings, while net interest income was up 21%, driven by growth in the lending book, improved margins, and funding cost management. Credit quality improved, evidenced by a reduction in the credit loss ratio to 1.1% in the first half of 2022 from 1.64% during a similar period last year. Going forward, Stanbic Bank plans to focus on deepening client relations and improving operational efficiency. Hibak Said for Lunchtime News.
Further afield, the U.S. has announced that they will begin formal trade negotiations with Taiwan weeks after a controversial visit by U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Their discussion will include talks on trade facilitation, digital trade, and anti-corruption standards. The first round of talks are expected to begin in the fourth quarter of this year. Here are the details of this and others from across the world.
The US-Taiwan Initiative on 21st Century Trade was first unveiled in June, with both sides now saying they had reached consensus on the negotiating mandates. Trade between the US and Taiwan was worth nearly $106 billion in 2020. The announcement comes as China launched its largest ever military exercises around Taiwan after Pelosi's visit earlier in August. Under the One China policy, the U.S. recognizes and has formal ties with China rather than the island of Taiwan, but maintains a robust and official relationship with Taiwan, including continued arms sales to the island so that it can defend itself. China sees the self-governing island as its own renegade territory that must be united with the mainland. However, Taiwan is a self-ruled island that sees itself as distinct from the mainland. Meanwhile, the World Food Programme's top official in Afghanistan said that 18.9 million people, or nearly half the population, are facing food scarcity, and 6 million are just one step away from famine, making the war-torn country the world's new hunger hotspot after a year of Taliban control.
The WFP representative and country director in Afghanistan said that many households have exhausted their mechanisms to feed themselves. Afghanistan's humanitarian crisis is being compounded by restrictions imposed by the Taliban on activities allowed to women and girls in the country. Finally, Australia's jobless rate dropped to a fresh 48-year low in July, even as employment broke a super strong run with the first fall this year, a mixed report that might hint at some cooling in the red-hot labour market. Figures from the Australian Bureau of Statistics showed the jobless rate dipped to 3.4% when analysts had looked for it to hold at 3.5%. That was the lowest rate since August 1974 and only added to evidence the labour market was drum tight. For Lunchtime News, I'm Serena Dekeremo.
To sports now, we begin with tennis, where Rafael Nadal's first match since pulling out of the Wimbledon semi-finals because of an injury ended in defeat at the hands of Croatian Bona Koric at the Cincinnati Open. The Spaniard lost 7-6, 4-6, 6-3 to the world number 152. Nadal has spent 6 weeks recovering from an abdominal muscle injury, and the defeat in the round of 32 match is a blow to his US Open preparations. This year's final Grand Slam event gets underway on 29th of August. Meanwhile, British number 1 Emma Raducanu produced another eye-catching display as she thrashed former world number 1 Victoria Azarenka less than 24 hours after beating Serena Williams. Raducanu continued her preparations for the forthcoming defense of her US Open title with a 6-0, 6-2 win in Cincinnati.
Grand Slam winner last night knocks off a two-time Grand.
That's all the time we had on KBC Lunchtime News this Thursday afternoon. But before I go, allow me to appreciate Jemutai Brenda. You say you're watching Stephen Ngera. You say you're also watching Maurice Nzeki, tuned in from Nakuru, watching from outer Makutano in Meru, Freedom Baba, Stanley Ngera Munyaya. Thank you so much for watching, and for us or those who are following us on social media. For more news, we have this news plus much more on our social media platform, including our website. It is www.kbc.co.ke. Thank you indeed so much for watching. And because of the general election, they say that challenges are what makes life interesting, but overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. Have an interesting afternoon.
Last warning, don't you ever call my brother a fake millionaire. Kayonga mutu saizi.
His muscle shut nayo. Huku.
Wacha tu.
Guys, this school is relocating.
Wait, are you guys serious?
Of course. How can you teach in peace when you come to school drunk every day, every morning?
I'm not drunk. Nanuka tu pombe ya jana. Destiny. I wanna rule my destiny.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Smoke, drink, I love my girl to some reggae.
Wagwan Rasta. Kumbuka kila Monday ni Iris serving you nothing but the best in reggae music.
Aisha ni yangu. Washugulika na yako.
And on Tuesday, it's all about Kenyan music, bringing you the best from the 2-5 flow.
Brand new wheel, just hopped in.
And of course, to all you hip-hop heads, we've got you covered each and every Wednesday. Not forgetting, we've got some R&B on the side.
Give me a jiggle, let me see the woman that is with me.
Now, every Thursday, tunavuka border across Africa to bring you nothing but the best for Afro Thursday.
Ready for burn up warning, someone's playing.
And on Friday, we do it live with me, Emily Mbai.
And me, DJ Koljax, on the ones and twos.
Not forgetting DJ_Lizadiva Pale Pia. Make sure you get interactive from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Hashtag KBC Club 1.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. Moja kwa moja kutoka mjini Casablanca, Morocco. Na ukaribisha katika makala ya maisha kutoka BBC. Makala yanakusaidia kuwajibikia afya yako. Mimi ni Dayo Yusuf. Kumbuka pia unaweza kutufuata katika internet BBC Swahili, Twitter @BBC Swahili, #maisha. Wiki hii katika maisha. Tuko nchini Kenya, msimu wa uchaguzi mkuu na ahadi ni tele. Tunahoji afya, je, ina nafasi gani?
Kila mwezi ninatumia dawa za kuongeza damu. Hizo madawa tunaenda naandikiwa na sio tunapewa. Ninaandikiwa, ninaambiwa niende ninunue chemistry.
Kusamehe au kutosamehe makosa. Nitakufahamisha uhusiano wa afya na msamaha. Na tutakwenda katika kijiji kimoja kinachowapa tija wanaoishi na changamoto ya afya ya akili. Karibu. Tuanzie nchini Kenya ambapo taifa hilo la Afrika Mashariki linaelekea katika uchaguzi mkuu na ahadi za wanasiasa ni nyingi, lakini siasa na afya zinaingiliana vipi? Ni miaka 10 sasa tangu nchi hiyo kuweka mfumo wa afya chini ya usimamizi wa utawala wa majimbo, lakini hadi sasa gharama ya afya iko juu na wengi wanajikuta bila bima ya afya. Mwenzangu David Wafula anaangazia namna siasa na afya zinatangamana nchini Kenya.
Herima Wakima amekuwa akiishi na dada yake viungani mwa jiji la Mombasa kwa miezi 6 sasa, akisubiri kwenda kufanyiwa upasuaji anaohitaji sana. Kwa sasa ameshindwa kugharamia tiba na upasuaji, anategemea jamaa na marafiki.
Sina nguvu, sina fedha za kutosha ama za kunisaidia kupata matibabu. Imebidi nikauza mpaka vitu kwa nyumba venye nilikuwa nimenunua kama TV, hata sofa sets. Sababu watoto wenyewe wako shule wanahitaji pesa. Imekuwa ni changamoto cause pia hata shamba nimeuza na still bado sijafanikiwa cause niko peke yangu na watoto wananiangalia mimi na nami hali ndio hiyo ya ugonjwa.
Changamoto kama za Herima zinaathiri Wakenya wengi na kuwasukuma kutegemea michango. Kisa na maana wengi hawana bima ya kitaifa ya afya NHIF kama tu Herima. Kwa sasa Wakenya wanaweza kujiunga na bima ya kitaifa ya afya ya NHIF kwa kulipa karibu $4 za Marekani.
Hata 1,100 imepita cause kila mwezi ninatumia dawa za kuongeza damu. Hizo madawa tunaenda naandikiwa na sio tunapewa. Ninaandikiwa, ninaambiwa niende ninunue chemistry.
Kabla ya Herima kujua hali yake ya afya, alikuwa anakumbana na hali ya ndugu yake ambaye alihitaji matibabu ya dharura ya figo na bima yake ya taifa muda wake ulikuwa umeisha baada ya kuachishwa kazi.
Sasa hiyo ndio nasema wakati ule niko kazini, si unaona hiyo NHIF ilikuwa iko inanini, lakini sasa wakati ile kampuni ikakuja kanini nayo sasa ikawa imesimamia hivyo. Sasa cha kushangaza ni kwamba wakati umegonjeka bado sasa wewe ni mgonjwa, bado tena ungoje hiyo venye wanasema mali labda ulikuwa umesimamia ulipie mpaka ifikie ile pesa, alafu sasa tena ndio ungoje mpaka imachue ndio sasa ikuje kufanya tena ianze ndio ikusaidie, ambapo sasa wewe unaumia alafu na ni muda tena inachukua. Manake kama mimi wakati nimeenda tukaifuatilia tukaambiwa mwezi kama around miezi 5 hivi. Sasa miezi 5 na uko mgonjwa, hiyo kitu itakusaidia kweli? Naona sasa inabidi tena ungangane kutafuta pesa mahali pengine, na hiyo imebakia tu hivyo.
Hata hivyo, hivi karibuni serikali ya Kenya imepitisha sheria ya kufanya huduma ya kitaifa ya afya kwa wote. Malipo ya afya ya bima yanaongeza umaskini kwa familia ambazo hazijiwezi.
Yani si rahisi hivyo, lakini sasa ni kitu ishakupata, utafanya nini? Itabidi tu ukubaliane na ile hali vinyiko. Maana sasa mtoto hata kama hivi school ilibidi isimamie tu ikae hivyo, naenda tu kwa mwalimu, hata ninamtuma bibi yangu niko mgonjwa aende amweleze, yani asimfukuze. Mpaka wakati nimetoka kule sasa ndio nifanye vibarua niendelee kulipa hiyo deni pole. Nyumba pia hivyo, mwenye nyumba tukamwelezea mtu nasikia vibaya. Manake sasa kukaa hiyo miezi yote nikiwa mgonjwa ilikuwa ni pengo kubwa sana tu kwangu.
Kinachopata familia ya Herima ni hali ya mamilioni ya Wakenya ambao hawana uwezo wa kupata huduma bora ya afya. Kati ya Wakenya 5, 4 hawana bima ya afya, na ni 20% tu ya Wakenya ambayo imejisajili na bima ya afya ya kitaifa NHIF. Hii inalazimisha Wakenya wengi kutegemea michango ya familia na marafiki